Hi friends, welcome to the third part in this video series looking at our minute repudiating the doctrine of discovery. I'm Lisa Graustein from Beacon Hill Meeting, and today I'm joined by Evan McManamy.
Hi, I'm a member of Amatory Friends Meeting, and I'm a massage therapist. I run a trauma therapy bodywork practice in Rhode Island.
Great, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, of course.
So today, this video is focusing on a spiritual practice. And the first two videos in this series were unpacking our minute repudiating the doctrine of discovery, and then looking at some of the patterns of behavior that have come out of that minute. And for each of these videos that I'm doing, I want to offer a spiritual practice so that we can better ground ourselves in the work we're being called to do. And the way I understand a spiritual practice is it's something that helps us integrate our heart, our head, our body, and spirit. So bringing all of the different pieces of ourselves into fullness together. That it's a way that I can take the hard parts of things that I don't know what to do with to God in a way that I find really helpful and generative. That it allows us to draw on and deepen our faith and practice as friends, and that it's a chance to connect with the divine and with each other. And I'm really grateful for Evan joining me today to lead us in a practice. And so unlike the other two videos, which were pretty teachy and telling information, Evan's gonna give us a little bit of an introduction and then just actually lead us into a practice. So if you're listening to this as a podcast while you're folding laundry or driving, maybe put the laundry on pause or wait till you can pull over, because we hope you'll actually join us in this practice.
So the first thing I want to talk about is presence, because I might use the word presence, and I want to be clear about what I'm saying. So in the work that I do with folks experiencing trauma, with folks experiencing issues related to trauma, we find that there are different kinds of body awareness. There's this one kind of body awareness that says, I wake up in the morning, my back hurts, and that's just kind of the way life is. And that can be helpful, but we find that there's this other kind of presence, this other kind of body awareness that's really crucial. So that might be more like, okay, when I close my eyes, when I sit here, I feel, okay, there's a little bit of a tingling in my left ring finger. I feel a little bit of a twinge in my right knee. So is this really present moment, this, okay, when I'm here, when I'm listening, I'm picking up this sensory information. And that's how we know, okay, so my foot's on the floor, my left foot, I can feel my left pinky toe touching. I know that I'm really present there. I know that I'm really there. I'm really listening to that part of my body. So that's when I say presence, that's what I mean. So I just want to set that up before we get started.
Great, thanks.
Okay, so then the next part is about this practice that I want to share with y'all. And this is what I do with my clients. It's come out of my Quaker practice. And I'm excited to see if it's of value. I'm excited to see if it's of use to you. So the first bit is about, so the three bits are listening, loving, and breathing are the three parts that I feel like I'd love to share. So the first part is about listening. So it's that presence that I was just talking about. It's that, okay, when I close my eyes, when I'm really listening to what's going on in my body, what's happening? How can I let go into really feeling that? The next part is about loving. When we encounter these things that are hard, when we encounter things that we can't just easily exhale, just let go, we say, how do we surround it with love? How do we invite spirit, invite God? How do we invite this feeling of we're whole already? How do we invite that there? So that's the loving part. And then the last part is just breathing. Whenever it's hard, whenever it's, if we encounter something that feels like, oh, that's too much, we know we can always go back to the breath. We can always just go back to the inhale, the exhale. We can go back to the movement, that things change with time. It's a process. So those are the three things.
Thank you. And what I appreciate about what you're offering us today, Evan, is that when we looked at the doctrine of discovery, we talked about the different steps of separation, domination and control, and exploitation. And what I hear in how you describe presence and listening is that it's about that reconnection and not being separate from our bodies. And that with the loving, it's about embracing. So it's a way to counter the dominance and control. And the way I hear you talk about the breathing is about not exploiting our bodies, but actually really nourishing them. And so that in this practice, you're offering us holistic ways to counter some of the ways that doctrine of discovery shows up, not just in the world, but in our bodies as well.
And this white supremacy culture that it need not be a crisis. It's what can we do? What can we do?
Great, thank you.
Right. So we'll just settle into a little bit of silence to get started.
And so again, if you're out doing something, we invite you to pause and really join us in this practice instead of just listening to it.
So I'd like to start off today with just a little bit of gratitude. Gratitude to Lisa for having me here. Gratitude to my friends Russell and Shakima for hosting me last night. Just gratitude to you for listening. So I also want to share a story about kind of the foundation for some of this practice. And I remember being in middle school and going to the JHYM retreats, and I remember at sessions that John Calvi, who's really, his work has really influenced the work that I do. He shared a spiritual practice with us, spiritual practice that he does about really sinking in, or at least that's what I remember, about how do we really feel. It's not about shutting off our body. It's not about being rigid and being stuck there. It's about how do we really listen? How do we sink into what we're noticing? How do we really just sink into the floor? So that's what I like to start with. And thanks to John Calvi for sharing this with me when I was a kid. So, so the first thing we're doing is that first listening step. So we're here with our bodies. We're noticing just any sensory information that's coming up. Noticing maybe on the inhale, letting the light in, noticing where am I clenching? Where am I holding? Where am I holding tension? Maybe for me, yeah. So in my jaw right now, I'm noticing, okay, there's some holding, there's some flinching maybe that's happening there. So on the exhale then, how can I see if that wants to let go? And then I just keep at it. So what's next? What's this next holding, this next contraction that I notice? And feeling something in my traps and my shoulders here. So how might my shoulders just kind of fall back down my back? How might my toes just sink into the floor? How might kind of this holding that's happening here in my hips, how might I just let go of that? So this is a process whereby we sink deeper, layer by layer. We're noticing what feels like it's making a lot of noise, what feels like it's really holding on, and how can we just let go of that holding? These contractions, these flinching sensations, these ways that we really feel that stuckness, these are very noisy sensations. And the more that we can let go, the more that we can give the opportunity to just let go of that, the better that we can really listen, the better we can really be present to these other places in our bodies. So noticing where can I get that sensory information? Where is it more difficult? Where is it more difficult for me to be present, for me to really say, okay, I'm feeling the skin level, I'm feeling the muscle level, I'm feeling the bone level, maybe in my gut, maybe in my chest, but okay, where am I present? And wherever I go, how can I feel, is there tension there? And then if there is, how can I just let it melt? And this is the first step, that listening. So give a few breaths and just see whatever comes up for you. Noticing now for me in my face, there's always some letting go there that I can do. I can notice in my eyes, I can notice in my cheeks. How can that tension just melt away? Many of us are trained in this culture to have this laser-like focus with our attention. We have this gaze where we look at things as objects and we hold them in place, and we see what they are. There's another way of looking that I find to be really helpful in this work. So if that's a flashlight, if that's a flashlight gaze where we're looking really intensely at this one object, how can we look in a more holistic way? How can we say, okay, with my body, I can feel what's happening in my hands. I can feel my face muscles. I can feel my feet. I can feel my feet on the floor. I can feel maybe there my skin on my chest. Maybe I can feel the skin on my back. Maybe I can feel my shirt. But just as holistic as we can. That's how things move. That's how things change, how things transform. How can I listen in this way that allows that relationship to be? That allows my body to be alive. So that's the first bit, listening. Now we're going to move on to this next bit, which is really about loving. So what happens now when we find these places in our body that don't want to let go right away? It was easy in my face. I'm used to letting go there. I'm used to feeling, oh, I'm holding my cheeks. How can I let go there? But sometimes when I move, okay, what's happening for me now? Let's see. Feeling as I come down with my breath, come down through my chest. I'm feeling somewhere in here. It feels like there's some stuckness. I feel kind of with my breath wants to come in here in my solar plexus area, but then wants to get pushed right out quickly. It feels like maybe there's rubber bands here almost. It feels like there's some holding, there's some stuckness there, and it doesn't just let go. So this is, how do we work with these places where it's more challenging, these places where there's more going on maybe. Maybe it's less of just a habitual muscle holding, it's more of an emotional holding, it's more related to other learning that we have to do in our lives. So the work here for me now is to be present. It's to be, how can I really be sinking into this spot? How can I be picking up on the sense data? You might, oh, yeah, my hand's not quite in the video. You might see, okay, I'm bringing my hands there. If there's a spot that I found that feels like there's some resistance, there's some stuckness, there's some separation, I can bring my hands there, and that can be part of it. I can feel my hands. That can help me be present there. So the next bit is this loving. I feel that there's this kind of energy that's saying, oh, I can do this on my own. I don't, like, this is my work to do. I'm gonna control this. I'm doing it on my own here. And what instead I want to invite this feeling that whatever it is that I can trust, whatever, and for you maybe whatever language you might have for that which loves you unconditionally. Maybe spirit, maybe God, whatever language makes sense for you. But how can I let go? How can I really trust that which is bigger, that which holds me, that which loves me, that's really right here too. Feeling the breath there. With my clients, I work on finding particular mental imagery, finding particular memories that really feel like that love there. So for some folks, it's the beach in the summertime, and they say, okay, how can I feel that sensation of lying down on the sand, lying on my towel, feeling the warm sun, and what does that feel like right here in the spot where I'm working? And if you haven't found a spot that feels like there's something going on, just pick one. Just pick whatever feels like that's the spot to work today. It's not about being perfect. It's just, there's work can vary in all these different places in our bodies. So shoulders, chest, heart space, gut space, there's often a place where we can go. So bringing your hands there now and then asking, what is the mental imagery? What's the memory maybe that feels like that love? That if it's the beach in the summertime, if it's a sauna, if it's a bathtub, how can I really feel that sensation right here? For me, what I might often, for me, what I'm going to go do today is, what does it feel like when I'm having a hug with my dad? What does it feel like when we're hugging each other? That togetherness. How can I feel that right here? Oh, how can I feel that love? The importance is that it's true. That's the important part. The important part is that we can really feel it. So whatever comes up, whatever's like, oh, that's my mental image for today, just go ahead and use that. It might be the beach, like I talked about. It might be a memory of a time where we really felt supported, a time where we really felt loved, we really felt held, we really felt cared for, listened to. But the more concrete that it can get, the more that we can say, okay, I really feel that. I feel that as a body sensation. I feel that right here. The more powerful it is, the more that there's that transformation. So feeling there, we're doing these two things. We're doing these two things at once in this holistic way as best we can. We're saying, how am I really being present? How am I really listening? How am I really being present here in the spot where I'm working, and also in my hands, in my feet, in my face, in my thighs, and my calves? How am I really picking up on any sensory information that's there? Not forcing anything to come out, but just saying, okay, I'm there, I'm listening. And then this other invitation. So again, we're not forcing with this either. We're not forcing this mental image here. We're only saying, when I sink down, when I feel that which I know in my personal theology to be at the root, this love that I know this is the foundation of the universe, when I sink down, when I really feel that connection to that, what changes here? Good. I want to say, you're doing it perfect. However you're doing it right now, that's exactly the way. That's exactly the way to do it. Continue to breathe. Continue to do these two things. We continue to really listen. We continue to invite that sensation of really being loved, of really being held. Inviting that, surrounding whatever that stuckness is, whatever that holding on, that need to be other, whatever is there, just surrounding that, just holding that with the hands of God. I want to offer something too in terms of that listening. I want to offer now that as we do this work, whatever is coming up, whatever comes up is related. So any mental imagery that comes up now, any inner voice, any bodily sensations, even if it's not right here where we're working, if it's somewhere else in our body, now's the time to trust, okay, that's really related. That's part of this work. I don't know how, maybe. I don't know how it's related. Maybe there's a memory that's coming up and I don't know exactly how it's, but I can trust that, okay, that's part of what's going on. So I know for me, in other times when I've worked here in this spot in my body, there's a lot that's going on here around my identification as a man. What does it feel like for me to be a man in this world? What does it feel like for me to identify as a man, for me to identify as a straight man? What does it mean for me to identify as a white man? There's a lot. I've found this other times working here. There's some stuff, there's some tensing, like it comes up in my head, like that's what's going on here. So figuring out what's there, how can I listen? How can I really be present? How can I not try to fix anything? How can I not pull away, try to change it, try to force it to be some way that I think it ought to be? But how can I really just be there and listen? How can I hold it with love? How can I trust that there's a way forward? When I say a way forward, there's a way back. It's a way forward and a way back. This gift of the body that I have here from my ancestors, this gift that I hope to give to descendants of mine, there's a way to continue to pass on this gift, to continue offering gratitude for this gift. I'm just speaking, this is what's coming up for me and doing this work right now. So I'll give some silence and really, But yeah, what I want to offer is that whatever comes up, trust it. There's no other. There's no, oh, that's my shopping list. I need to buy chickpeas at the grocery store. I can't think about that now. It's like, if that's a message that's coming up, I need to buy chickpeas at the grocery store, just trust. That's important. That's somehow in some way related. And how can we say, okay, thank you. Now what's next? How can I continue to listen? How can I ask that question again? What's related? What's going on? How can I listen? The last bit I want to offer as we continue to do this work is about breath. It's that whenever we find something that's especially hard, whenever we feel that overwhelming feeling, we can always come back to the breath. We can always come back to that inhale and that exhale. If it feels like it's especially too much, we know we can always open our eyes. We know we can always look around the room. We know we can count how many light bulbs there are. That's a good trick sometimes. You can count how many windows there are. Sometimes that's helpful too, but we can always come back to the breath. Just keep breathing. The other way I want to offer the breath too is that it's about rhythm, this work. We're not looking for a quick fix. We're not looking to force it to be some way that we think we ought to be. We think it ought to be, whatever this is. Because we can trust that we don't actually know. We can trust that it hasn't yet been revealed to us. This is a process of continual revelation. We don't know. Even if we could force it, we don't know what we would force it to be. So instead, we're sitting with it. We're listening. We're seeing, how can we hold this? How can we bring the light in? Yeah. It's about the rhythm. It's about the ongoing transformation. It's about the way that we continue to move. This way that we continue to breathe. This way that we continue to breathe together. So I'm going to leave space for a little bit more silence here, and we can just continue to do this work. Continue to be here, continue to meet here together. Continue to listen. We can continue to love, continue to hold that concrete image, invite that in as best we can. Invite that connection to that which is so much bigger than we are, whatever words we might have for that. That which we can really trust. that whose love we can really depend on. And we can continue to breathe. So I'm going to leave this in silence now, whenever Lisa feels ready to move on to our final bit. Go for it.
I appreciate that you started this, Evan, with naming gratitude for a number of different people. And so I want to invite us to close this time with a prayer of gratitude for your offering, for all of us who are joining us in this practice, for everyone out there in the world seeking to do God's work and join in rehealing and reuniting the human family. So thank you. So as we've ended these other videos, we want to offer a few questions. As you tried out this practice, what did you notice in your body? How are you feeling right now, physically, emotionally, energetically? How might you use or integrate this practice with your existing spiritual practices? How does this way of working with our own hurt help us in the outward work we do together to realize the beloved community? So again, Evan, I just want to thank you so much for bringing us this practice and joining me in this video today. This was incredible. And friends, as I continue to put together these videos looking at our minute challenging white supremacy, climate change, some of the other big minutes we have approved and committed to, as well as the work before us this summer at sessions, if you have wisdom or knowledge about those issues, if you have a spiritual practice that you think can help us, please get in touch. I would love for you to join me in creating these videos to help our whole community step more fully into the vision and life that God holds for us. So thanks again, Evan. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, everybody.
Great.